This is Optimal Work Daily, episode 1413, How Extraordinary Leaders Transform Self-Sabotage into Success by Comaford of smarttribesinstitute.com. And I am Dan, your personal narrator here, and I'm going to keep this intro nice and short for you today, so let's get to it and optimize your life. How Extraordinary Leaders Transform Self-Sabotage into Success by Comaford of smarttribesinstitute.com. What's your poison? Most people have something they do that they wish they didn't, and often we excuse ourselves by naming other things we are doing that are good. For example, it's okay that I'm having this donut. That was a tough client call. I did well, and I deserve it. But if we were really coming from self-love and self-care, we might not be shoving a ball of fat and fast carbs into our mouth. This behavior is actually just a habit to soothe ourselves. And as we know, those small habits add up. Put the 2x4 down. Unfortunately, we often try to change these self-sabotaging habits by making ourselves wrong about them. We beat ourselves up, we make New Year's resolutions, think of ourselves as weak, and hope that the quote-unquote good guy wins. But as Carl Buchheit says in his article 10 Delusions of Personal Growth, quote, "If one part of us wins over another part of us, who is it exactly who's won?" End quote. Key to remember when transforming self-sabotage is this. The behavior you dislike was once a solution, and not just any solution, it was the absolute best solution you had at the time. Behavior always has an intended positive outcome, or IPO. But the method of achieving that outcome just got locked in early in life and is now outdated. So instead of fighting self-sabotage, we want to learn to love it. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Let's start by calling it something different. Instead of calling it my horrible donut habit or self-sabotage or something derogatory, rename it as something positive, solution-oriented, or at least neutral. I call the part of me that needs recuperation time my sensitive self. If I feel like donuts or junk food or am overwhelmed and grumpy, it's often because my sensitive self is feeling a bit crumpled or trodden on. And the thing is, I love my sensitive self. It's the part of me that excels at compassion. That's why I'm good at what I do. So I've given my sensitive self a voice, a new methodology to get me some respite instead of reaching for the cookie jar or lashing out. It tells me when I need to take a bath, enforce a boundary, go to bed early, or recall my energy in other ways. The intended positive outcome, IPO, is the same, protection, but by honoring that part and by not making it wrong, by giving it a voice and listening to it, I can choose different methods to get that same outcome of protection and soothing. Do try this at home. Step 1. Define the present state. What exactly is the behavior that's not working? Get very clear in your mind what the trigger is, what specifically you are doing, and what happens during and afterwards. How is this useful? How is it not? For example, let's say you're staying up late, zoning out in front of the TV on weeknights when you have to get up early. Notice exactly what happens. Are you tired to begin with and TV feels soothing and rebellious? Does going to bed early require effort and maybe feels like succumbing to a different, less cool version of yourself? Maybe the staying up late behavior does not actually support your best you. Step 2. Find the part responsible. Take a few deep breaths and let your body lay or sit back. Close your eyes. Let the part of you that is responsible for the behavior come into your awareness. Your parts can be like little personalities on their own with names and opinions. You created this part to help you achieve a specific positive outcome. Even a seemingly vindictive part always has an IPO, possibly to feel good or be safe. Ask the part directly, what do you wish for me to have or accomplish by doing this behavior? Step 3. Establish the part's core motive, IPO. Keep asking the part what and why questions until you're clear. Often the answers track back to safety and self-love. Release any judgment. Remember, this behavior was the best solution a younger you had. Let the part know you'll never fire it. You created that part to achieve something important, and it's been doing a great job. Once you are clear on the IPO, you can negotiate with the part about using a different methodology. In our late-night TV example, the IPO might be self-expression, perhaps a teenage version of yourself that learned to watch TV late to cope with fatigue from demands of school and parents and still have a sense of self. And step 4, ask the part if it would be willing to update its method. You can offer some suggestions, bring in wise or creative parts, or just leave it to the part. Be really clear about how the method isn't working from step 1. Keep working with the part, honoring the IPO until you reach agreement. In our example, the part might receive a promotion. It's now in charge of getting you to bed and of adding a creative spice to your life, a different method to achieve the IPO of self-expression. It is easier to respond to the intention of a behavior rather than the problem. It also helps us to groove our brains in useful ways. So try it. You'll be surprised to find out how hard those parts of yours that do sabotage you are actually working, however misguidedly, on your behalf. You just listened to the post titled How Extraordinary Leaders Transform Self-Sabotage into Success by Christine Comaford of smarttribesinstitute.com. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. We all have non-negotiables. Maybe you never skip leg day or have to take your morning walks. But when your schedule is packed with kids' activities, big work projects, and more, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. Therapy can help you reclaim control of your time and values. And make no mistake, therapy is for everyone. Whether or not you've been through significant trauma, therapy can be a great tool for setting boundaries, learning positive coping skills, and ultimately becoming the best version of yourself. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/workdaily today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/workdaily. We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites. One of the things I love about Indeed is that it filters out incompatible applicants. So when you're hiring, the process is much faster, and you only have to consider applicants that are already likely to be a great fit. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/startup. So just go to Indeed.com/startup right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/startup. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. And a big thank you to Christine, who is a leadership and culture coach, serial entrepreneur, and New York Times bestselling author of 3 books, Power Your Tribe, Smart Tribes, and Rules for Renegades. For over 30 years now, she has helped leaders navigate growth and change by specializing in applied neuroscience, which helps her clients achieve tremendous results in record time. As an entrepreneur, she built and sold 5 companies with an average ROI of 700%, and she was a software engineer as well in the early days of Microsoft and Apple. So come by smarttribesinstitute.com to learn a lot more and check out their resources, and I have that linked in this episode's description and at oldpodcast.com. But that does it for this episode. I thank you so much for joining me and hope you'll be back again tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.